Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to Versus Stars podcast. All my loyal listeners, thank you for continued support. And remember, click the subscribe button, everybody. It's an amazing episode because Donna Benedicto boards the mothership. You know her from Supergirl. She now stars in With Love and a Major Organ. Come aboard as we go traversing the stars. Hello, Miss Benedicto. Thank you so much for coming to Versus Stars podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me. Excited to chat with you.
It's totally my pleasure. Looking forward to talking to you as well. So I always start with the question of inspiration. So what inspired your love of acting and who your earliest influences?
Oh, okay. Well, I actually never thought I would be an actor. Got into acting because I was actually a singer first. And the story is I started singing in cover bands and I didn't have much creative control. So I had to sing a lot of songs that I didn't like to sing.
Yeah.
And I remember telling a friend, like, oh, I hate these songs and I just want to be a good performer and I want to make sure that people don't notice that I don't like these songs. And he suggested, hey, why don't you take some acting lessons? If you don't like the songs, you could act like you do. And it worked. And so I took one acting class and got hooked. It was really fun. And I kind of have this natural ability to really feel things in my body, which was not a fun thing growing up as a kid, but I'm like, oh, that could transfer over to my career now. So parts of it came really naturally to me, and I got an agent through that acting coach who ran the class, and then it just kind of went from there. And then early inspiration, there wasn't much for Asian representation when I was growing up. So the first actor that really stood out to me was Tia Carrere in Wayne's World. Remember her?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. You know, what's funny is when I used to sing in my cover band, sometimes people would be like, Sandra, Cassandra, Cassandra. So I had to learn Ballroom Blitz just to satisfy the crowd. Yeah,
So what other songs would you cover for?
Oh gosh. So if you're in a cover band, you kind of got to do a bit of everything. So what really worked in that club is I would say like the high noted rock songs like Sweet Child of Mine. I sang some AC/DC, yeah.
Nice.
And then I did, the typical like Katy Perry, I did some Rihanna, I rapped a little bit, I did some Nicki Minaj. Then I did some of the old school stuff. I did some Whitney, I did some Blondie. Yeah, so to be in a cover band, you gotta be able to cover everything. Really, it's really fun.
Now, have you had an opportunity to sing in one of your films?
I actually, am I allowed to talk about this? Well, no. Okay, so I got 2 song placements in a TV movie I did with Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child.
Yeah.
But my character wasn't singing in the movie. But I'm on this show called Family Law coming up. Am I allowed to say this? I think. And I have to sing.
Of course you are.
Like, I'm gonna get in trouble for saying I'm on that show. No. But I sing in that one. But I sing badly, actually. It's I was supposed to be my character's a bad singer.
now someone who's a trained good singer, is it harder to sing well or to sing badly on purpose?
Oh, it's pretty easy to sing badly. It's pretty fun to sing badly, actually. There were some times where they're like, no, this is too good. You have to rough it up a little bit more. But yeah, I even did like the Mariah Carey Cover the Ear, like some of those things. It was a lot of fun. I can't wait till that comes out.
So which skill or art form is more collaborative, singing or acting?
Oh, I don't think there's one that's more. You know what? I'd say, now that I'm thinking about it, probably acting, just because you can do solo shows on your own.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you could even record solo shows on your own, record your own videos to do like music of you singing solo. It's just not as fun. But acting by yourself is not that fun at all. So I feel acting is a little more collaborative because you want to be collaborating with people all the time. I mean, you want to be collaborating with people in music as well, but I feel like I don't like acting by myself. I hate acting by myself. Especially there's some scenes, I think these are the hardest scenes where your character is on their own, just living their life, like walking around in their living room and discovering things, like those are the hardest to do because it's just you by yourself.
So no one woman shows in your future on theater, like Broadway one woman shows.
Probably not. maybe. Oh well, because when it comes to an audience, I feel that is collaborative too, because you're moving off the energy of everybody watching. But yeah, like if I put a video of me acting by myself on YouTube, it would be less entertaining, I think, for people who don't act than it would be if I was doing a song. You know what I mean?
Yes, 100%. So
Yeah.
so when you went into acting, you started to learn acting from, and you shifted from music to acting.
Yeah.
What kind of acting style did you gravitate towards? Like, what did you learn about the craft, and where did you go to learn it?
Well, I actually studied with this woman named Shay Hampton, and she's really intuitive, and I'm really glad I went to her class first because it was kind of works with how I work, which is just like really intuitive. It's sort of, you don't really break down the story and the characters so much. You just kind of focus on the scene at hand and what the characters would be feeling in the scene and kind of just go off that. It was scene study, but not in the sense where you meet up with partners and rehearse and then put it up in front of everyone. It was really realistic. It's more like how it is on set, because I've been on set and they'll change scenes on you. Or just add a scene. I was on this movie and they're like, we're 6 pages short. If we write you a scene right now, can you put it up? While I was shooting another scene, I was like, okay. And this was the style of studying that I did. It was, you memorize the scene flat, you sit there and you memorize it, you talk about the blocking a bit, you know the background of the characters a bit, like you don't have to know what they have for breakfast and whatnot. And you just put it up and it'll be there for you if you know your stuff. So that's how I studied, which was great. It's good to know all the other stuff too, like the breakdown of the story, and to do scene study with rehearsing and whatnot. But like, I really enjoy that sort of just trust yourself, trust your skill acting. Yeah.
Now, in Hollywood obviously has a diversity issue. Do you find that you got to try even harder to get those, or have to be even better than someone else would to make sure you get the same roles?
Yeah. Yeah, you do. There's so much we could discuss about that too, because not only do we have to be better, but even the people, the white people who are pretty good and not that are not very known, have to go against everybody who has their favorites that's on the production. Like if you were casting a story of your life and directing it, I'm sure you would have your actor favorites that you want to put in, right? Even if you see all these other tapes of good actors, you'd have your top 5 maybe that you've worked with before, or that or that remind you of your friend. So on top of being a person of color who's an actor, we have to go against that too. So yeah, we really, really, really have to make sure we stand out and make bold choices and study and do the work and keep training and do class. Just keep yourself sharp.
So when you think about, once again, like the idea of diversity, where does it need to start to make it the most effective? Like, is it that you need more writers diversity because most writers put in who they are? Is it like directors? Is it casting directors? Is it just an audience needs to prove that they'll accept it?
Oh wow, that's a great question. Where to even start? I think I know in Vancouver, I have some directors. Like the industry is quite small here. Even though we work all the time, there's lots of work out here. And I know the Canadian casting directors and some of the directors really push for me specifically, which I'm so grateful for. So I really think it's a bit of the audience going out to support movies and film and TV with POC actors in them, especially if for my specific thing, like any dark-skinned Asians like Cambodians or Lao or Filipinos, because if you show that that those movies can be successful, then the top heads will be more willing to hire more POC actors because they know we can sell. And I get it, because from a business standpoint, if this is the formula that's always worked for you, has been your white lead actors for years and years and years, and you have millions of dollars banking on this movie selling, and if the audience hasn't shown support for these films with POC actors in them, like it seems like a risk, you know. So yeah, I think the audience needs to support film and TV with us in it, and also the heads have to be willing to hire us and take a risk. You know, we'll see how it goes.
Now you
I get both sides, you know.
I mean, you also brought an idea like typecasting. Who, you know, like you said, you put in the movie the person that you think you know, or like, you know, I like this actor because I know him from this type of role. Is that also an issue of typecasting where, let's say, you're thinking yourself, for this role, I'm thinking, I don't know, Tom Cruise. So obviously it's, you know, it's the white actor because that's who I'm thinking about. Is that also a type that it's difficult to think this for the role, but what if I made this a person of color then? You know, because it's like an extra mental jump in some way, you know,
Yeah.
someone who's stuck in one frame of thought.
Yeah, of course, because I get it though, because what A-list or even B-list, like there's more now, but I don't know any A-list Filipino actors. So who's gonna come to mind when you want to make money on your movie? It's gonna be these A stars, and what are they? They're not Filipino, you know. So we have on our end as actors have to do a lot of work to be seen and recognized and see that we can be up there with them, but also we have to get the chances to do that.
It's like a catch-22, isn't it? You gotta to get the role, you gotta prove you're good at. You can bring in the money. To bring in the money, you actually have to have the role in the movie to do it. It's a horrible circle.
Yep. And I'm just trying to manifest that even if it's not me, somebody in that position will believe in someone like me enough to try it. And hopefully it's successful, you know. I think it will be. It's just there's so much on that side that's not really talked about, where I get it. You don't see it any other way. Sort of like support from my family or Filipinos in general. They haven't really seen successful Filipinos that are A-list actors.
Yeah.
So they're not. Back then they wouldn't really push their kids to be studying acting. So also, we're not, if you don't study, you're not that good at it, so you're not going to get those big roles. So it is a catch-22. We have a long way to go, but it is moving in the right direction, I think.
Now, I assume, like, from experience, I would imagine audiences, you believe, go to a movie if it's a good movie. Do you think that's the key, or do you think if a cast is diverse, that is a segment of the audience that will either gravitate towards it or away from it because for that reason?
It's tough. I mean, I know me and the people I know love to see diversity on TV and film. It's almost tiring when you're flipping through any sort of streaming service and it's just like a sea of white people. Now that we're really paying attention, you know, it's like, you know, I'd love to see something different. Like when Beef came on, I don't know if you've seen that series.
I know of it.
And everyone's Asian for no reason. You know, we're like, yeah. I think there are a lot of people who would gravitate to that, and a lot of people just don't think about it too. And I think, for talking about beauty standards just for a second here, a lot of people in maybe middle America don't really see that many Asians, or don't think of them as beautiful and like lead role material, and maybe they don't think of them that way because they haven't seen it too, you know.
Well, one thing that I read, I kind of want to connect it to it, is, if I read correctly, you've been admitted to the Performers Peer Group for Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. Is that correct? So, which is basically, for those who don't know, is basically like the Emmys. You help determine who's going to be the award nominees and winning. Now, does helping diversity or diverse people win those awards help further movies and TVs get made that with a diverse cast?
Oh, totally. Like the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, when Michelle finally won an award, and she's been in so many amazing things. Like, it's about time. But her winning just opens doors. It makes productions and people think like, oh, okay, yeah. Asian actors not only can lead movies, they can win awards for them.
Right.
So maybe let's give them a chance. So I think it helps immensely, and I hope there's more opportunities for Asians to be nominated in things.
That was
Hopefully.
that was a tremendous movie. I remember I was watching with my wife who loved it, and I spoke to it with my father, and I was like, I never saw a movie before that changed my mind about the film so quickly as it went ahead. Like I remember seeing the beginning of the movie and going, "This is kind of silly. I don't know why this is so people like it so much." And then as I started building it, I was like the scene with like the rocks. I'm like, this is so sad.
I know.
Like I never saw it been so manipulated so completely from a film before like that.
Yeah, I remember, well, when I was watching the ending, and everyone in the theater was crying, everyone's sniffling, but even watching the production of that, I was like, oh, this looks so expensive. Good for them. Whoever got this budget for these guys, it looks so good. And just being on the other side of it, just seeing how much work got put into that story, like it's incredible. It's a really good film. I'm so glad you liked it.
I really thought it was terrific, and I do like as you said the idea that what will come from this will be more movies with diverse cast Asian actors, because I kind of feel like it's weird how movies do that, like it like move culture. You have like Crazy Rich Asians did well, then you have like was it Shang Li Shi does well from
Yeah, yeah.
Marvel. And
Mhm.
then once again, now you have a movie like this that gets a wider berth because it's been proven stuff. And now the next movie, you'll probably get more from this. And it kind of like just builds upon itself.
Yeah, yeah. And we're hoping it just gets the ball rolling and it keeps the momentum going,
Hmm. So,
Hopefully.
so because you are part of, like I said, the that peer group, so kind of like explain what that kind of is for audiences and how that functions. Because I think most of us don't realize how award shows actually function. We kind of just like, hey, someone who's unknown, like someone in the background just said this is a good movie, gets an
Oh yeah.
award.
Basically, everything that's up to get nominated and is considered for nominations, we all get screenings for it. So, because some things aren't on Netflix, some things are, but we don't have Hulu in Canada over here.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah. So we get sent all the screenings, and we get to watch them. And then when it gets time to vote, you get to comment and vote on what you think should win or what your top choices are and whatnot. It's really cool. And if you're in the area, they have screenings in person, and they have panels, and they have people from the productions who speak on the productions themselves, and you learn everything about the show or the movie that you've just watched. And it's great for community as well in the film industry, just meeting people and hearing about their work and all that. It's pretty awesome.
Well, see, the thing I always get curious about with acting. I mean, when you like, I'm a baseball fan, and
Yeah.
if you like baseball, and you're looking for who's the MVP of a year, you look at the
Yeah.
stats, and someone either hit 30 home runs or hit 20 home runs, hit 320 or hit 300. But in acting, it's these roles, comedy, sci-fi, horror, all these like very diverse type genres, and how do you determine who did the best across very different types of roles and films?
Oh, it's so hard, and it's so subjective too, to your preferences and everything. Uh I kind of just I have a problem because I kind of like everybody. I'm just in awe of everybody who does the work enough to get hired and to be
Yeah.
seen to where it counts, and when they move you and make you feel something, it's so hard to choose, because I just go off who made me feel the most, like
Hmm.
what pulled me in, whether that's humor, whether I'm laughing my butt off, or I'm crying my eyes out, or just being like, wow, this person's in it, and I forgot they were acting, I forgot about the story.
Hmm.
Because even as an actor, and I'm sure you too as a writer, sometimes like you can get pulled out, like in the scene will change. If I'm watching with my director friends, we stop like before the next scene is, I'm like, damn, that was a good shot. Oh, did you see the set deck on that? But if I'm so pulled into the story and the acting, sometimes I completely forget, which is amazing. Like that's the goal. I want people to forget they're watching a film or me on TV when they're watching me.
I will say that the worst as a viewer, because obviously I would never be I'm not an actor because I'd be bad at it. But as someone watching TV or a movie, it's always the worst when you can see the person act on screen. You're like, oh, that person's trying so hard. You can see it on the screen.
I know, and I tell people who, as viewers who don't act or not even, or viewers who just don't aren't in the industry at all, they'll say like, I didn't really like this movie. I don't like this, and it's usually the acting because they're not pulled in, you know?
Right.
Like if you can't tell what it is specifically, but if you see an actor on screen that's concerned about how they look, or they're just, you know, not in it for whatever reason, maybe they didn't get sleep the other day, it was a night shoot the day before or something like that, like that really pull you out of it. So, but yeah, people notice and don't notice at the same time. It's funny.
It's like the uncanny valley effect, but for actors, where if you watch something like CGI on screen, you're like, something's wrong here. I'm not 100% sure why, but I can tell it's fake. Acting's kind of like the same way, the uncanny like actor effect. It's like, something about this, like I can tell this isn't good.
That's exactly it. That's what it is, because it doesn't feel real. That's the problem. That is the uncanny valley effect. Well, I'm going to use that from now on. It's like, giving me the uncanny, he's got the uncanny valley effect. Like, I'm not watching it
now, going into like how we look at acting, there's some genres that seem to get less respect from an acting standpoint than others. Like I find that sci-fi always doesn't get respect for being a genre or a good acting genre, because it's like or Star Trek, like, well, you know, they're just reading these lines, whatever. Do you find as an evaluator that you tend to pull to one genre or another, or are you find yourself more open to any genre of acting? How does that work?
Oh, I'm open to any and every genre of acting, because being on this side of it, it's all hard. I think that is so funny that people lack respect for sci-fi and sci-fi acting. Star Trek dialogue is absolutely insane. If you're not a good actor and you get a role like that, you would be crapping your pants on set every day. And the fact that they can do it, and they've done it for years, and memorize dialogue that they have no idea what any of this means.
Right.
And they could pull it off and be serious when they're on a fake set and there's not space outside and it's all green screen. Like, sci-fi acting is some of the best acting, I think, in all the genres, because you're dealing with all of that. It's all imagination. It's all imagined dialogue. Some of them different languages. Like, I don't get how people don't respect sci-fi and its acting, because it's an intense use of someone's imagination and everybody's imagination put together. Like, I think it deserves so much respect. And I've auditioned for some sci-fi stuff and been like, oh my God, what am I saying?
You know, I had the good fortune of interviewing a lot of Star Trek people. So anyone who knows my show knows Star Trek tends to be interviewed. I think I've had like 20 plus Star Trek people from the TV shows and movies.
Wait. From the Next Generation. So I watched all of the Next Generation because I had a friend who was obsessed with Will Riker.
Yeah.
You know, the doctor's son? Is that who he was?
Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton,
yes. I had the pleasure of interviewing Will Wheaton. He is awesome.
Did you? So, yeah, my friend was obsessed with Will Wheaton, and we went to like a Star Trek convention out here when I was like 11.
Yeah.
And so I know most of them. I remember most of them from the Next Generation. That's so cool. I'm going to tell my friend that the interviewer who interviewed Will Wheaton.
Yes, you can definitely check it out. I was amazed. I got that interview, I think it was a little over a year ago, because he was writing a book, and I got to talk to him about it. And it's amazing. Like I interviewed Armin Shimmerman, who plays Quark in Deep Space Nine. And and what people don't know about a lot of these actors, and I guess, like I said, I've interviewed like 20 something of them, is that a lot of them are Shakespearean trained. And Armin Shimmerman is apparently one of the premier Shakespearean actors and scholars in the entire country. And when people do Shakespeare, they call Armin Shimmerman Quark to make sure it's accurate. And he's a novelist as well. And like I said, people don't realize that that's how hard it is that these are Shakespearean actors doing it.
hard. It's so hard. It's so hard to pretend all of that is real and it's
Yeah,
happening to you. And it's that intense and there's big stakes and people are going to die if you don't make this decision, but you have to
right.
speak it in what's the language that um what is it called? Who was the main alien who was security?
Oh,
What's his name?
Klingon, Worf?
Klingon.
Klingons,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And you have to do all that in Klingon. It takes so much skill, like a different type of skill to do sci-fi. So I have so much respect for sci-fi.
Now, you've been adjacent to sci-fi because you were in Supergirl.
Yeah.
Once upon a time. So what was that experience like?
Oh my gosh, it was so much. They gave me guns, Jeff. I got to
Oh.
shoot guns. It was because I play a lot of quirky, fun best friends, and so when I got the Supergirl role, I was so excited. I was pretty intimidated too because that was my first time on like a big soundstage set,
Yeah.
studio set. And the cast was so sweet, and so was the crew. They were all so welcoming, and I got written in as a DEA agent, so I was like the alien FBI, and I got to run around and shoot people. I got smashed by a invisible alien, and
Oh.
yeah, I had a stunt double that day, and I remember because I read the script and I was like, yeah, I get to do a stunt. I get to like get thrown up on a wall, and then I got my call sheet, and I saw there was a stunt double for me, and I got to set. I was like, I talked to the set, sorry, the stunt coordinator, and I was like, oh, I really wanted to do that stunt. He's like, oh, you didn't. No, you didn't. Because when I saw the stunt setup, oh my gosh. So it was Roralie, she was my stunt double. She got a cable attached to her back and got yanked from
Oh.
across the room into a pillar and then fell onto a mat. And then they did one where she fell onto the floor. Like it was insane. So if I did that, I would have broken my neck. So I'm very glad I had a stunt coordinator, but the stunts on that show were insane. I saw some really cool stuff. Like there was this one scene where the invisible monster was just taking out all these dudes and they're all just flipping in the air and just by themselves. It was pretty awesome.
That's very cool because you were in 2 seasons. You were in seasons 4 and 5. For those who might not know, and you
Yeah.
played Agent. Is it Rife? Is that how you pronounce it? Rife.
Agent,
Reiff.
yeah, brief.
Brief. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're in 2 seasons. And how does it feel to know when that you get called back into
Oh,
another season?
it's so nice. And like you just look forward to seeing everybody. The catering on that set. Oh my gosh. Like the food was amazing. And they always do like, oh, Donna's here. You gotta do up her plate, like double it up. And it's just so nice to be on set with like familiar faces and knowing that you're gonna be welcomed with open arms because it's not always like that when you're coming on a show just for like 1 or 2 episodes. So yeah, knowing you're getting written in is it's so much fun. And then also not knowing what your character's doing. Like I would open the script, I'm like, oh, I'm shooting people today. Or like I'm getting thrown by an alien. It's the best. I love recurring on shows. It makes me so happy because you never know what you're doing.
Well, especially when you do a CW show, like because these are when the DC CW shows. Because once again, now you're talking potentially conventions.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you were thinking about, or in the future?
I feel I would love to do conventions. They sound like so much fun. I'd want to do it for like a cool role, you know? But yeah, they look like I love seeing people passionate about what they like or do or what they're interested in. And convention is that. There's just a bunch of people that are passionate about something they worked on and a bunch of people passionate about watching it. So do you do conventions? Do you like going to them?
Oh yeah, I get a press passes because I get to do my show. And this year I'm going to Terrificon in Connecticut, so pitching them apparently on the show. What the hell,
Nice.
Terrificon, and then in November I'm going to Rhode Island Comic Con for that show, and it's cool because I get I'm going to get to go around. I'm going to try interviewing some of the people who are not only customers but some of the hopefully guests as well. And it's fun. I'm an autograph nerd, so like my walls, because my wife is so tolerant, is just like wallpapered in autographs from celebrities from these shows and stuff like that. So yeah, so I got to go to the shows every year because I need my autograph. This year, my goal is Andrew Robinson from Star Trek, Deep Space Nine. I would like to get Jonathan Frakes because he's going to be a Riker. He's going to be there, and then it's either Terry Farrell or Jeffrey Combs. I'm not sure who the third one I can afford is.
That's awesome. Well, I think you're gonna get them. I just thought of the role that I want to go to a Comic-Con for. So speaking of DC, DC comic books, just like I think it was 2 years ago, 2020 or 19, 20, 21, I don't know. A couple years ago, just put out their first Filipino superhero in the comic books, and her Wave, and she controls water. That's what I want to be her. I have her as my screensaver, actually. I'm trying to manifest it. Like, hopefully if I go to a Comic-Con, it's because I played her.
Now, can you say now who's the character? Say the character one more time.
Wave.
Okay, cool. So, well, is she in her? Does she appear in like one of the team books? Is she gonna have her own comic series yet?
I think she just appeared in the main comics, but doesn't have her own yet at all. She just like showed up.
Yeah, that's how this stuff starts. You got to get the character to get a popular, got to get her then her own series, and then they get the movie. So it's like we gotta go in these nice stages.
Yeah. Have to ease it in. You have to ease it in. So,
well, like I said, you never know who's watching the show. They'll be like, hey, now that she mentions it, Wave would make a great character.
Right? I do Muay Thai. I could do my fighting stunts. Maybe not the falling ones.
Well, one film that you're in coming up is you start as Casey in a new film called With Love and a Major Organ.
Yes.
So can you tell you what that is a little bit?
So we actually premiered at South by Southwest, and it's an indie that's shot in Vancouver, and it's about it's set in this world where people's hearts are objects according to how they feel, and you can take out your heart and give it to someone else. You'll die eventually, but not right away. And so that's kind of the setup of this world, and it's based in the future, and it was actually written by Julia like 10 years ago, before this AI, before we were like completely engulfed in our phones. Well, we were starting to about then. But my character is a supporting lead to the lead who, Anna's character is she bases her life on feelings and doesn't like technology and is basically different from everybody else, whereas me and the rest of society have basically used apps to dictate how our lives are lived, kind of like how kind of going now. And I use an app to choose when I talk to my partner and connect with her. Like, well, we're supposed to have a breathing right now. I gotta go, and we only eat these bars that have all our nutrients in it for our meals. Like, we don't want, and to feel feelings, we go to a facility to go feel them. You walk into a room to feel anger. You like punch a pillow or whatever. So that's what that movie's about, and it's really fun and kind of sci-fi, I guess, if we could take out our hearts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun playing Casey. She's supposed to be obsessed with social media, obsessed with status, because kind of like Black Mirror, we rate each other, and the higher ratings you get, the cooler friends you have, or the better friends you have,
Becoming more real probably all the time on that one.
Sorry,
so that's probably becoming more real all the time. The idea of rating, or you rate people as social ratings.
Yeah, it's coming. Oh man, with AI and everything, like there's a few actors I know that have this, they're very scared of AI, and I kind of like AI, but
yeah.
I think it's going to be good for the productions and people who don't have a high budget, who would say, like, since we're on the topic of sci-fi, I want to do kind of a sci-fi little film or series, and don't have the budget, but they got the AI program to make it kind of look like they have a budget. Like, I think it opens doors for a lot of things, but it's also pretty scary, I guess.
So you could potentially become a producer in your future and do one of these?
Yeah, I actually produced my girlfriend's directorial debut, her like music movie, basically, and I do not have the brain for producing. I can do it. I don't enjoy it, but I will do it in the future just so I can get my stuff made, you know?
So,
Things another. Do you produce?
oh God, no, I don't have the money for that kind of stuff.
Oh my God. Honestly, it's just you're putting out fires all the time. I have so much respect for producers, good producers, because oh my gosh, the things you have to keep track of, the things you have to fix, especially if you're not on a series and you're just making movies, there's new people all the time and new problems, new locations. It's a hard job, but I feel as hard as it is, I'm gonna have to. You might have to too. You're a writer. You're gonna have to.
It would be nice if I ever had the money connections to produce something on my own. That would be fantastic.
Do you know what other things producers do? They get grants and stuff. Like you
Ooh,
get money.
yes. See,
Yeah,
see, that's what I need. I need someone just to give me a bunch of money.
I know. Me too.
See, I always forget about that part. That just have someone give me the money. That would solve so many problems.
Right?
So when you're playing, like, okay, so go back a little bit. So when you're playing Casey, and you're talking about like the objects are the heart. What is Casey's object then?
So they don't say. They kind of alluded to what everybody's hearts were at the beginning in the credits.
Yeah.
It looks like her heart might be an orange.
Oh.
But they also asked us like what and maybe she's an orange because she's, or was it a grapefruit? She's kind of sour. But they asked us what our hearts would be at the Q&A when we premiered, and I was saying that my heart would be a spiky stress ball. Like, so it looks like it could hurt you, but then you go to grab it and it's soft, you know?
That's cool.
Look at my Instagram. I look like I could be kind of a bitch or something.
So we're going with not a bitch. Is that we're trying to?
Right. I'm only a bitch if I have to be. Just don't try me.
So where is Lovin' a Major Organ playing? Is that on streaming? Is that on going to theaters? Where's that?
It's actually just premiered at South by Southwest. So I don't know if I'm allowed to announce, but we got into 2 other festivals, and you have to kind of do the festival circuit first before complete distribution. So I think I have a feeling it'll be coming out like next year on something. We'll see.
Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Now, another film that you're in, because you're apparently extremely busy, is a film called A Boy in the Walls. Is that correct? That's on Lifetime.
Yes, that's on Lifetime. So I don't know if you're familiar with the actress Constance Zimmer, but she's phenomenal, very, very talented, has been in so many things, and it's her first feature directorial debut. She's a badass, and the story's so cool. Boy in the Walls, I mean, it was kind of inspired by that real story about how a man got killed in his home and they couldn't figure out like how he got killed because all the doors were locked. Like, it was an elderly man. All the doors were locked in his house. Like, how did someone get in here? It turns out there was someone living in his attic for like years.
Oh, wow.
So, I know. It's the creepiest thing ever. It's so creepy because it's a true story. This is like loosely kind of based on that. So there's a boy in the walls, basically. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's creepy. So everyone's going to be checking their walls, like little holes to see who's living in there.
I read that story. You have to look it up. I'll email you I can't remember what you'd have to search up, but I guess you could just search up guy that lived in the walls of a home, because people do that. Like, have you seen Parasite?
I have not yet.
Okay, that's one you want to watch, but you also get creeped out. It's based on that too. But that's why I don't want to own a home. I'd rather stay in a condo because of that reason. That looks freaky. Like food would be missing. Like, they would leave something on the counter and then it would come back half eaten.
Oh,
like all, like kind of supernatural things would be happening, and you think it's like a ghost or something. So, but it was someone living in the walls of their home and like in the attic, and they would creep down and like follow this man around and stuff. It's so crazy.
That's so weird. So it makes you rethink ghost stories. Like, person have a ghost, had someone living in their walls potentially. That's all.
Seriously though, know, right? Especially if it's a huge house. Apparently this man was 6'2" or something, and when they found him he was like 100 pounds because he was just eating like scraps and stuff, but he didn't
Yeah.
want to leave. It's super weird.
So is the movie, did it, when you did started make filming the movie, did it freak you out when you moved, when you went back home? Did you like hear noises? Because sometimes nights the walls creak, you're like, what the hell?
So I was in this other movie called Trap House, which is coming out as well, and it's kind of a thriller horror, and that was shot in a slaughterhouse, and that really creeped me out.
Oh
I
yeah.
I left my water bottle in one of the rooms at the end of the day, and I had to go in and get it, and I had to bring a PA with me. I'm like, can you come with me? There. So usually shooting, I don't really get scared when I come back home because I'm with a lot of people and it's a lot of fun. And I haven't shot anything really scary yet. I've heard some stories about some sets where they're making horrors or supernatural things and some weird things happen and some
Yes.
people feel weird or get sick and whatnot. So I haven't experienced that yet. But I have a feeling I might eventually because I love doing horror and it's so much fun. But I also hate watching it. I hate watching horror.
So is this a fingers crossed situation? Like I hope to be in a movie that creeps me out enough that I'm freaked out, or I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, like, is that the goal?
I feel like I'm good at horror because I get so freaked out. I think so. I just know it would be a lot of fun to act in it. It would freak me out, but I know it'd just be so much fun.
See, the thing is, as a singer with your range, you probably have a good horror scream. That's gonna be my guess.
I do. The scream. The first time I got to scream was in Trap House. I don't want to give too much away, but I get to scream really loud. And the first take that I did, the director like comes around the corner. He's like, "You have such a good horror scream." Oh my God. It's pretty terrifying. I'm pretty proud.
That's awesome. So when you were in Trap House shooting the slaughterhouse, what was it? Ghost pigs you were afraid of? Like, did you think there like, was that?
I was just afraid of the building in general. The story of that is the main character's brother dies in this sort of drug house where they sell drugs and a lot of addicts go, and basically they trap the house with a bunch of traps. Like there's that's why it's called Trap House. There's booby traps where you might get your head cut off, you might get stabbed, like you might open a door and a sword might slice you in half, or you might get electrocuted, or so yeah. So it was shot in this old slaughterhouse, and it was just creepy in there because you see the troughs where the blood used to be and everything,
Yeah.
and like grody. So the story didn't freak me out, but the place did. And when they did some of the special effects, when you see blood on stuff in there, it's like, oh. Yeah.
So going back a little bit with the boy in the walls. So who did you play in the film?
I actually played the lead girl's best friend who's trying to convince her that she's a little crazy.
Oh,
I'm just, what are you talking about? You're just stressed out. Like, don't worry, I'll be here for you. And just relax. So yeah, I'm her best friend.
so you're totally wrong. So you're a horrible best friend.
Best friend, but she wouldn't. I wouldn't think that there was anybody living in the walls that my friend was. So I don't blame her, but yes, she was a bad best friend.
That's awesome. So is this one coming to a film, or is it going to be Lifetime? So it's on the Lifetime channel.
Yes, and that's got pushed. It was supposed to come out this month, but it's pushed to next month now. So
Okay. To do an exact date yet, or
not an exact date yet, unfortunately. But I'm really excited for that one. It's gonna be good. You gotta watch it. Maybe watch it before reading about the creepy thing.
Okay.
Reading the story first.
All right, totally will. So other than a future appearance in Star Trek at some point, I'm sure, what's next for you?
What's next for me? Well, I am doing a little brainstorming for a couple things to be pitched because, like you said, we need people to give us money so we can make things.
Right.
Yeah, creating some stories with teams of people for Filipinos and other POC actors over here in Canada, and I may be going to Korea to go to BIFAN. Have you heard of that festival?
No.
So it's a film festival in Korea, which With Love in a Major Organ just got into. So I might be going there for that too. So
Very
we'll see.
cool.
Yeah.
That's absolutely awesome. So when you when you produce these next great films, you're gonna come back on?
Oh, absolutely. And okay,
Awesome.
promise, if I get waived that I get to come back on here and talk to you about it.
Oh, that'd be absolutely awesome. I would enjoy the hell out of
Okay,
that.
amazing.
Thank you so much, Miss Benedicto. It was totally my pleasure. It was a pleasure to talk with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and I'll talk to you soon. You too. Bye.